there's so many others, right? Like, actually, maybe just briefly, who were some of your biggest influences? You know, because you told me some funny stories about how you were researching flat Earth, like in the 80s or something in Australia, in libraries with Dewey Decimal Systems, right?
Yeah.
And then a lot of the flat Earth people are attacking you, like, he doesn't say it's flat, and you actually keep it pretty, like, I've looked into this for like 40 years, right?
Yeah, I don't agree with anything that's offered, you know. I don't agree with what we're told it is, the globe model we're giving at all. There's so many questions, it just doesn't answer.
Everything NASA says is a lie.
Well, everything they tell you is a lie. I don't agree with the flat Earth model either. The problem I have with the flat earthers is that their whole claim of this is and all this shit that they put forth, when the fact is they don't know the truth. But I've looked into the flat earth, I've looked into the hollow earth, like back when those little old monitors, I had to go in and get digital printouts and shit, you know? Like, I was looking into this stuff for years. I mean, I've only been online for about 15 years doing this, but I've been looking into this like my whole life, like 40 years, you know? So, yeah.
Was there anyone who kind of like really woke you up a little bit?
Well, a lot of it was my own stuff that I, you know, just from traveling and shit. I mean, I read books back in the 90s and shit, like The Cosmic Conspiracy and stuff like that. It was Stan Deyo, I think.
Never heard of him.
He was an ex.
You've given me about 10 books to read.
Yeah.
And about 10 documentaries to watch.
And yeah, I was always into stuff about the pyramids. I liked some of Graham Hancock's early books. Fingerprints of the Gods, I thought was a really interesting book.
You know what's interesting is David Icke and Graham Hancock, they both did ayahuasca.
Yeah.
And you've done ayahuasca many times.
Yeah.
I've done it a few times. Are we like just tripping out? Or are we just more aware to what's really going on now?
Something that happens in ayahuasca, like when you do it with the shaman and you really experience it properly, you can see outside visible light into the spirit realm, and the shaman are very insistent that what you're experiencing there is reality and this is the dream. Mm-hmm. You know, because our pineal's closed, we've not got access to so much that's happening outside visible light that we should have access to.
Yeah.
And we can't communicate with reality. We can't communicate with the tryptophan. Like the tryptophan, this substance, it's in everything. It's in dogs, it's in plants, it's in everything. And don't really know what it is.
They say if you eat turkey at Thanksgiving, you fall asleep because of it. That's the only thing the mainstream knows.
Well, yeah, tryptophan. Tryptophan is like nature's internet. And if your pineal was active and you had as much DMT active in your body, dimethyltryptamine is what you're supposed to have, because you've only got a tiny little bit active. And like if you didn't have dimethyltryptamine active in your body, you wouldn't see in color, you wouldn't dream, you wouldn't do any of that stuff. So, but you're supposed to have more active. And if you had more active, then you'd be able to communicate with the tryptophan in nature, which is like nature's internet. This is what we call instinct in animals, how the animals will leave an area before a tsunami comes. And the tribal people will leave. They know there's something coming because the energy changes, because they can read the energy field.
Well, even when we did that live stream with that Australian guy, where we both just saw the thing, she's gone, Jeepster, all of a sudden all my dogs started barking. And you think the spirit of Jeepster came to see you.
She came to see me, yeah.
And the dogs see it.
Yeah. And as soon as Brad said she's gone, then your dogs, just all of them, just started cracking up.
They recognized something was there.
Yeah.
And we can't see it. Your average person can't.
Yeah. So they would have seen, even if the spirit of Jeepster wasn't there, they would have got the message that she died, and they would have read my emotional state through the tryptophan. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because the tryptophan it connects.
Yeah, they sense we were both like, you especially, me a little bit. I didn't know Jeepster that well. But they might have just sensed, like, your heart just go like this.
Yeah, because the tryptophan, it communicates with everything. And that's what instinct is. It's not really this magical thing. It's simply nature being able to communicate with itself. And most animals and most tribal people with an active pineal have the right amount of DMT active in their body, so they can communicate with the tryptophan, so they know what's going on. All your questions are answered. It's all there in the field, everything you need to know. Yeah, it's nature's internet. That's what tryptophan is.
Which is way better, right?
Way better. Which is why we've taken to the internet so easily.
Right.
Well, I've said this in my film The Awakening and other stuff, like earlier on when I used to do all spiritual stuff in my early shows. And
I just want to cut you off for a second. because I didn't really know you that well. I just kind of knew some stuff. I had no idea of all the stuff. I didn't know you did all these movies. You don't promote yourself enough, Max. I know I promote myself a little too much, but you don't promote yourself enough. Let people know, because you've got tons of new people listening to you now, have no idea about your old movies.
Yeah, well, I did a whole bunch of stuff back in 2008, 2009. I made like 5 films, and all of my early shows were all about spiritual stuff.
Yeah.
And the awakening and all this sort of stuff, and trying to get people to understand this language of communication that's there all around them, you know. And yeah, I mean that's why I said, I mean, that's why we've taken to the internet so readily, because it seems so natural for us to have all this instantaneous communication, because we've got internet technology that can do it 10 times better. And the way I say it is to explain it to people, it's like, you know, we would never bought into all this clunky tech if our inner technology was working. It's like if, like, you know, I want to sell you my Honda, but you're driving a Lamborghini. You're not going to buy my Honda, so I come and steal your Lamborghini. And then if you want to really get to work and do shit with your life, you're going to buy my Honda. And that's what they've done. They've stolen our Lamborghini. They've sold us their cheap, clunky Honda. And we think it's really cool, because now we can get around the internet airways. And really, if we were active in ourselves, we'd be able to do it ourselves. Some of the stuff that we did, if you really look at Vimana and you look at the Vedic texts, and look at the Vimanaka Shastra, which talks about how to fly flying machines, and it's all to do with your diet and your mental state and your psychological state, even the clothing that you're wearing. You can fly these things with your mind, but you've got to be in the correct mental state to do it, which is why we'll never ever be able to figure out how all this free energy technology works while we're in this mental state, speaking this language which doesn't even explain reality to us. Right. You know, we've had such a fucking number done on us. If people realize just how much we've been fucked with, you know?
I'm starting this is all new to me in the last 5 years, but I've been meditating so much, and I've done like ayahuasca, and I'm not recommending for everyone to do it. Like, it's fucking not easy. But the more I just start, you know, maybe it's the apocalypse. The apocalypse, they say, is the lifting of the veil. People will start to see correctly, right?
Yeah.
And I'm just starting to see all this. And, you know, I have an idea that there used to be humans on this earth that were very much like those blue people in that movie. What was it called? Avatar?
Yeah.
Because I actually see it in my wife. My wife she's not blue, but she's very much like those people. She's still connected. She still goes to talk to the trees.
Yeah.
And then there's people out there who have been so, unfortunately, drank a lot of fluoride, taken so many vaccines, eaten so much fast food, lost connection, that they think we're crazy, right? And the thing with the crazy is, the stuff we're talking about, if you've never felt it, it will sound totally crazy. That's just the way it is. Because if you've never felt it, how could you, what? You can actually feel these things or sense these things? I've never sensed it. And that's what a lot of the world is like today, in my opinion. It's just people going, you guys are crazy. But you know, less and less do I find people call us crazy. More and more, I see people calling the robots crazy. So there's some hope here.
Well, there is. I mean, there's a lot more to reality than what people think. But, you know, the more we move into technology, the harder it becomes to discover that. Technology becomes so much like the actual world, because you can actually do more in the virtual world than you can in this world. You go in there, you got all these powers,
right?
Which is really what you should have in this world,
right?
Which is why you take to it so naturally. It's see, what they're creating is a mirror of what we can do, but the only way they can get us to accept that mirror is by taking away everything we can do, and then presenting it to us as this new virtual place where you've got all these extra things you can do. That's the way it's supposed to be anyway, you know?
Yeah.
So we've really had a number done on us. We really have, brother.
Yeah.